mean, there is a number of liquidations that have happened, DeFi protocols and staking and a variety of things that have occurred. But, to me, I think there's been about 50 million tokens is what I've seen. Between 30 and 50 million is what I saw was coming unstaked. I think it came, early last night, or late last night or early this morning. To me, I think that this is actually it behooves Solana, the chain, because the number one FUD that I constantly hear about the chain is it's too much VCs. There's too much VC, money invested early on, which I don't, I don't agree with. I think VCs, that's what they do. They make sure that you can build a product. But I think that if you have one of the major shareholders now suddenly tokens coming into the market of which anyone can buy at a very reasonable price, by the way, is I think today we're at $17, $18. That should disseminate a lot of that use case or a lot of that FUD talk about too much in some single wallets.
Yeah, so there's a couple things here. One on the specific point about the amount of SOL that came unstaked or was being unstaked. I forget the exact timing of this. That is mostly a result of poor circumstance. So there's actually public information on this now, which we can, I don't know if there's like show notes or anything. I'm happy to share links on this. But last week, there was a situation where Hetzner, which is basically a large data center operator, was kicking off Solana validators. And so the Solana Foundation, which delegates some SOL to a number of validators, was basically unstaking something of the order of like 28, close to 30 million SOL in order to shift it to validators that are not on Hetzner. It so happened that the timing of this coincided with like this FTX situation. So my understanding is that half of the SOL that people are talking about that's getting unstaked is completely unrelated to the FTX situation. It's just a function of poor timing. So the sort of severity of this quote unquote SOL unstaking thing is like vastly overblown from the perspective of how much SOL, or at least why it's being unstaked. The second point I want to make is in terms of concentration of ownership. Yeah, I think in general, it's healthier to have diffuse ownership of a token. And so if the result of this FTX situation is that SOL ownership is more diffuse because one of the large holders, Alameda, I don't know how this all plays out, right? So this is just entirely speculation. If their SOL ends up being held in other hands, it's good in the sense that like, yes, so now there's more diffuse ownership. So yeah, Solana being a VC chain, I mean, kind of to your point, VCs are there to back people in the early days and help them get going. So I always like laughed a little bit at that. The other thing was that like the SOL token was available for purchase, very early on, and so like in theory it was accessible to anyone. Anyways, I don't really like talking about SOL's price. I certainly have no view on it, etc. But
yeah,
it is funny how some of these names stick.
Yeah, and again, the purpose of this is let's just address the FUD and the things that we're seeing on Twitter as well and in our community. And I think those are the perfect answers. Is some of this is DeFi, this is blockchain. If you like the protocol, buy it. If you don't. That's the great thing is we have so much of a choice.